Greetings, fellow Oscar-winning golfers. Tiki here,
And Blue Dragon 5.
and welcome to the third week of our Curb Your Enthusiasm final season coverage. That's right, tonight we have season 12, episode 3, Vertical Drop. Horizontal Tug. Dragon, what do you think?
I didn't like as much as the first two. But on the rewatch, I think the gags land. I think it kind of grew on me on the rewatch.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm in a similar boat to you. I watched it a couple times. I definitely don't think it's as good as the last two. But having said that, I do think that there are some really solid gags in there. So we'll just jump right into it. Some big returning people this episode. We have Richard Lewis's first appearance of the season, as well as Irma getting a bit more screen time, so I'm sure we can break all that down. Kogias is in the comments saying it's interesting that the golfing episode is out right after Dragon and Jacob previewed the iconic golf episode from Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, let's just get right into it, Dragon.
Okay, so I mean, overall, there is one thing I want to say with this. I think the reason this one didn't quite may have not quite hit the notes that I think the first two did is that this in wrapping up the series, and we're kind of doing the greatest hits of Curb. I think we also kind of hit like at times there's a certain point in Curb where we kind of like Seinfeld, oddly enough. We do hit we went a little broad in places with Curb versus Curb starts off very down to earth, very grounded, very again, not observational humor because that was very much Seinfeld, but kind of observational plus, the HBO version of observational,
Uh-huh.
where we went a little every time in Curb. When we introduced Larry David's other, I mean, it's kind of hard to say nemesis, but he was like the responsible adult who's always like giving Larry David a hard time when he acts the way he acts. That's Mr. Takahashi. And so Mr.
Yes,
Takahashi is
yes.
kind of the closest thing we have to a recurring antagonist for Larry. I mean, let's be honest, because technically the recurring antagonist is Susie Green, but she's again like she and Larry are
with Susie Green, I kind of feel like that dynamic is so like
it's
hot
unique.
and cold.
Yeah, exactly. It is hot and cold because that's the idea. They are friends. Like again,
Right.
Larry David and Jeff Green are the best of friends, and because of that, Susie's in his life and has been in his life for a long time. So, it's kind of you're right. It just runs hot and cold. So I can't really call her like the antagonist of Curb.
I've never looked at her as a villain. No.
Exactly. I mean,
We've had
gives them the
season-long
business.
villains like Lin-Manuel Miranda, or of course Mocha Joe.
So that's what I'm saying. So those are kind of like in terms of like season long arcs. But I'm saying in terms of like a recurring kind of rival of sorts or just antagonist, we have Mr. Takahashi. Whenever we did Mr. Takahashi, we went a little broad with Curb. So when we go to the golf course and we're doing a Mr. Takahashi episode, we're going a little broad and broad Curb. I'm not saying we don't have good stuff coming from broad Curb, but I think you've seen a little bit of broad Curb. Like I think I don't know if I'd call the Periscope episode broad. Do you remember the Periscope car episode?
Vaguely?
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. There are moments in Curb. I'm sure you did a rewatch. You'd probably see there were some moments where maybe we went a little. Anyway, so in terms of the episode, so we returned from Atlanta. This is interesting. We don't get the full details on this, but it would seem that for either trial prep or maybe like an extradition thing, Larry David has been allowed to return home from Atlanta.
Yeah, it's interesting this episode because I feel like they're not directly continuing the Atlanta stuff as much as they were in episode 2, but it's still very much in the focus. So,
and that was like the first time they've ever done something like that. So it's
sure. All right. So yeah, we got people going up to Larry in the airport, commending him.
Not just anyone, but Sienna Miller.
Yes.
She's getting flirty with Larry David.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then we have the Bagel Runner. Something that can create supervillains if you're not careful.
Right.
In this case, from Oscar winners.
So I do love that Larry could have the shot to go out with Sienna Miller If it weren't for Irma.
Yep. It is funny though. He has attracted, he's attracted attractive women before in Curb, but yes, he's chatting up and he has this bagel. It's like, you can eat this bagel. It's like, no, I'm just gonna. He wants this. I love. Okay, he wants to do something noble. Like, I'm gonna give this bagel I'm not gonna eat to a homeless man who absolutely would use it, because I've seen this all the time. And you have like the two things I hate when you drive. You have primarily I hate the squeegee guys. The squeegee guys are an epidemic. Okay,
I feel like that's more of an East Coast thing than the West Coast thing.
that's what I'm
I
saying.
have
Like,
not really witnessed it.
Tiki, on the East Coast, the squeegees might as well be like a gang, man. Like the squeegee
God.
boys, it's like a whole thing. Like, seriously, there's an intimidation factor. There's bads. There's always the risk of something really horrible is going to happen on bad skin. This is not just like a homeless person washing. These are like young guys, usually like guys just trying to make trying to squeeze a dollar out of a guy. Like it's like, hey, you're not going to pay me. Like they'll throw your windshield. They might get to a scuffle. It could be really it's intimidating. That's what I'm saying. The social anxiety you have.
I hate
these
that.
Guys. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's like you know me. I would crumble, Dragon. I would crumble.
I'm saying, Tiki, the squeegee guys on the East Coast, they would make you brick your pants in terms of social anxiety. In terms of just
I don't doubt it.
Because it's like if you make eye contact with them, it's gonna happen. And you're gonna have to do the brush off, and then you're gonna have to stand your ground on the brush off.
Oh my god! Yeah, that sounds like absolute hell. It really does.
There's been thankfully it's been more discouraged lately, but it's the fact that it's even bigger in the city. But I'm just saying, like I'm not in the city, but I'm saying if I'm like on the precipice of the city at times. When you're on the precipice,
like for example, when you go to the Comic-Con.
Well, for sure. I mean, no, if I'm in the Comic-Con, that's essentially, it's the, roughly in the heart of the city. It's essentially, I'd go through the city to the inner harbor or something like that. Anyway, so point being, the other thing you have is, the homeless guys are always, you never know if they're genuine or not, because you hear like these stories on the news of like a homeless guy like drives like a nice car and that's how he makes a living, where he pretends to be homeless, but that whole thing. So you always have those guys on the side of the road who are holding up the signs. Half the time genuine, other half you never know. But the point being, we have some genuinely homeless-looking gentlemen. Larry David wants to give him a bagel, noble. But then when he gets up there, he understandably, I can respect the aversion. He doesn't want that homeless guy coming up to him. He doesn't want that smell being with him the whole day. He's just like, no, just stay there. He tosses him the bagel. Again, horrible act. But I get it.
Right.
I understand it. So, right. Tiki, talk about the fun of Wordle.
Okay, the Wordle thing is honestly one of the things in this episode that I just did not connect with. Maybe it's just because, like, Dragon, I didn't know that Wordle was that big, for one.
I didn't know that Wordle was like a group thing. I didn't know like Wordle was like...
Right. So, like... So all the jokes about Wordle in this episode, honestly, they kind of went... Either they went over my head, Dragon, or they felt like really old people jokes. Which Curb usually doesn't go into all that much. You know what I mean?
This is going to sound crazy. I think Curb went too modern. I think it went too modern on that one. Where again,
I feel you.
Like Siri, perfect. Okay, Siri, perfectly done. We've had Larry David maybe have some GPS trouble. We've never had him have literal Siri. Like that.
Right.
That tracks. That progresses. But Wordle is like a thing where I don't even. I've seen like phone games where you.
It's basically like a word scramble. Like I don't even get why it's popular.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it sounds like more of like you guess it with a number of tries sort of thing. Like, kind of like I've seen that sort of thing, but I didn't know it was like, I thought it was word something. I didn't know it was like Wordle, and let alone did I know it was like a thing where many people are going to know, like, be playing the same game like daily, I guess.
Right.
So it's weird. I think they went too modern on that one.
Well, I'm glad we agree on that.
Okay, so Leon shorts.
So Leon, honestly, I feel of two minds about Leon. Like, I honestly think in this particular episode, he is on fire. He's got some really excellent lines. But I am definitely not crazy about the running gag with the shorts, Dragon. I am really not. I really think that's That's probably exactly what you're saying with Curb going a little too broad, right?
Yeah, exactly what I mean. This is like
Yeah.
an example of of Curb going too broad with something.
Yeah, I feel that.
Like, for example, here's something that's oddly not too broad for me with Curb. Okay, I don't think you've gotten this episode. There's an episode called the Korean Bookie, and the Korean Bookie essentially is Larry David thinks so. Jeff and Susie's dog Oscar, who's like, did you see any Oscar? Did you get any Oscar the dog?
You know what's funny? I am watching through season 1 right now. I don't think I've gotten to him yet.
Yeah, so basically, Jeff and Susie have a dog named Oscar. We get a lot of mileage out of Oscar. He's fun. Sometimes we get some stories that involve Oscar, and this is one of them, in which basically Oscar goes missing, and Larry David thinks that his Korean bookie, who is like really cutesy, like, "Oh, Oscar, I could just eat you up," he thinks that the bookie may have actually cooked, like killed and cooked
Oh no!
Oscar.
Oh no! Oh god!
And the payoff is fantastic. Okay, the payoff is hysterical. So I'm saying that's an example. The way that payoff goes, it's kind of broad, but it's like it's still grounded enough that like, well, I mean, it's a logical leap, but it's not like a thing of like this otherworldly thing where everyone's going to have this universal aversion to Leon's balls.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So anyway, Leon's wearing these.
Also, I wear shorts quite a lot, and just wear a pair of boxers. It's not that big of a deal.
Well, the joke is that Leon
is the joke that Leon just goes commando.
Well, either that he goes I think in the past we may have said Leon goes commando. The point being, Leon goes commando, or he makes a lot of jokes about he's built down there.
Right.
Anyway, so that I don't know if that's maybe what they're hinting that it's falling out of the side, or if it's just he's not, maybe he's just frankly just going commando. It's entirely possible. Either way, the point being, just the horribly implied gag, just like the horror reactions that we have from Larry David. I mean, it's kind of funny, but just getting a whole running gag, like Larry David reacting.
I feel like they really went back to the well on this idea a lot this episode, and it is not one of Curb's funnier ideas to keep going back to the well on.
The problem is it becomes a little less. It becomes really telegraphed. Okay, it feels really telegraphed that okay, we have this gag and Larry needs to get out of Dodge, so we're going to pull the ball deterrent again.
Right.
Okay, so speaking of which, let's talk. Okay, this scene is really funny. Let's talk about the Tubman wake.
Well, hold on. I do want to point out the "Hey Jews" thing.
That is really funny.
That had me cracking up.
I love we always have these casual moments between Larry and Leon. Like, no, he's kind of, it's so funny. Leon, as you see in season 6, he's very much as Kevin Smith's kind of like framed with Malcolm Ingram. Malcolm Ingram was kind of his gay avatar, where in this case, Leon is Larry David's avatar into the black community.
Right.
In many respects, and I guess on the vice versa, Larry David is kind of like Leon's avatar into the Jewish community, the Hebrew community.
Sure.
So okay, like that, you kind of have like notes. It's not it's Hey Jude, not Hey Jude. Oh, my bad.
God. All right. So yes, the Tubman Memorial Dragon.
Well, Wake,
right.
There's like,
I only say memorial because I recently did see the Irma, or I'm sorry, the Ida Funkhauser roadside memorial episode.
Oh yes, I love that.
Dragon, honestly, that might be one of the best Curb episodes I've ever seen. Honestly,
okay, now you're gonna make me more. Okay, seriously. My grandfather, he loved that episode.
It was fantastic. I feel like that episode is like a blueprint for how to make a good Curb episode.
I think that and the carpool and the nanny are always some of his favorites, and he loved the ending of the roadside memorial episode. Just the idea of the $50 bill and everything. Just
right. Oh God. Anyways.
Okay. Anyway, so so the Tubman wake. So we meet Dwayne Tubman. He's not pre-established. I mean, he's a new neighbor because he later moves a lot. In this case, he's back to the house.
I mean, I feel like the way that he talks, it's pretty established that like this guy has been around a while. This is just the first time we're seeing him on the
Yeah,
show.
exactly. I'm just saying, like, we want to give Larry David a neighbor character, so okay, maybe someone new moved in the neighborhood, or who knows. So anyway, apparently close proximity given the lemon tree. So we have Dwayne Tubman, who apparently claims, at least as Larry is concerned, it sounds like it's verified given the conversation he has with Dwayne, he is a descendant of Harriet Tubman.
But I like to think that like Larry holds way more stock in that than he does.
I know, that's the impression you get, right?
Yeah.
But I love that Larry David's so tickled by, like, man, that's right. I'd like it's not like it's like an insincere. He really thinks that's cool.
Right. But I like how it's like as soon as Larry says, the whole thing about like, well, you Tubmans, you're strong. It's like the guy just takes a beat, right?
Exactly.
It's just a beat.
Just like, okay, he's gonna bring up the Tubman thing. Great.
Right.
Anyway, so I love, and I gotta admit, in the trailer for this season, Curb, I was really looking forward to this scene. So this
is a classic Larry David conundrum for sure. It's like he's trying to be polite, but it's like he's just saying it in the wrong way.
He's not wrong here, but he's right. The worst possible time. So I love Larry David looking for an upside. He is trying to console him in a way, but again, like, well, he thought it was his father, and he's showing up. He doesn't want to be there, but he's showing because he's the neighbor. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear about your father-in-law. Oh, yeah, it's your father. my wife's father.
It's like, this is fucking terrific news to Larry.
Just again, it's twisted, but Larry trying to help. But again, he's making the obligated appearance. But again, had he known it was an in-law, he wouldn't have shown up in the first place. But I just love, my favorite moment is the whole like, so is your dad still around? Like, yeah, we'll see. There you go. This is like, and here's the thing, he could have just let it lie here, okay? So it's like, oh, there you go. Yep, it's a gift. This is like, every day is, that's basically it's a small miracle. Yep, my father's around, so that's a gift. Like, yes, that is a gift. And he could have just let it lie there, but then
exactly, yeah.
Again, it's like the toolbox.
Problem with Larry David in these sorts of situations is that he does not know when to take the gas off the pedal.
It's like Tiki made a really good analogy, folks. I'm gonna give you a horrible analogy. Just go with me on it, okay? An uber-specific analogy.
Okay.
It's like the Binford toolbox from Toy Story, okay? It's like,
of course you go to Toy Story.
Buzz, I always go to the Binford toolbox, okay? Buzz is like he's pushing the toolbox off to get the free Woody from Little Milk Crate, and he gets there, but then he just keeps going. It all comes tumbling down.
Oh man.
So Larry David here, he then uses the dog comparison, which again we got a lot of mileage out of. Again, very conveniently per the broad nature of this episode, but the whole like, you have your dog. If your dog dies, it's horrible. Your neighbor, your friend's dog dies.
I love how instantly offended this guy is at the dog thing. Which I think rightfully so. Because
but
because it's like you are literally comparing your wife's father to a fucking animal.
It cracks me up so much that he had him with the whole like your father, your dad's around. No, there you go. Like he had him.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's all you needed to say. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Anyway, so then also the lemon tree.
I found a lemon tree. Very deep cut Survivor reference. I'm sorry, I had to do it. Okay, go.
Okay, Tiki, Tiki, something has just occurred to me since you're doing since you're watching you didn't get to the Survivor episode yet, did you?
No, there's a Survivor episode.
Well, in the most hilarious of ways. Was
Larry David get into a tiff with Jeff Probst?
Do you want me to give you the premise?
Yes, give me the premise.
Okay, I don't know if this is. I forget this. I think the episode's called The Survivor. Now, I think that's what it's called. It's in early on. It's between. I think it's season 2. It's either 1, 2, or 3. It's in one of those.
About halfway through season 1 so far.
It's early it's in the early era curve. Essentially, Larry David. I forget if it's the entire crux of the episode, but at least a big plot point in the episode is that he has a dinner with a survivor from the show Survivor.
Oh my
God.
Do you know who it is off the top of your head?
And a Holocaust survivor.
Oh my God. My God.
And it's a miscommunication.
Do you know who the survivor is?
No, I have no idea who the survivor.
I'm gonna look it up. Who
I
the
assume
survivor is.
my guess is that it's a real survivor cast member, but I don't know. It might just be made.
It's got to be a real one, right? Because they do that stuff all the time with Curb.
This was early on though, so that's why I'm not sure.
Okay, I am looking it up. It
by
is
the way,
season...
since you're watching through, you got Bob Odenkirk's episode, didn't you?
I just got through that.
Yeah.
That's the last one I saw. That was fantastic.
Yeah, Porno Gil.
That was probably the first great episode of Curb.
Yeah.
The first couple were good, but they were a little warm-uppy, but then that one was really great.
All right, what was that? All right, anyway, yeah, so basically you have this, it's like through a misunderstanding, the survivors are at dinner with each other, and the idea being, okay, we have a survivor in the family, essentially, who would be in good company with another survivor, and clearly something has gone wrong here.
Okay, so the survivor is Colby Donaldson. I am very much not surprised that is the person that they brought on.
Okay, so
Colby
it is a real...
It's a real person. Yes, it's a real person who was on the show. He was very much like the big Golden Boy fan favorite Dragon. He's a Texas gentleman. His big claim to fame is that as a luxury item, he brought the Texas flag and he used it as a tarp for his tribe. Yeah.
I think.
But he's also probably like among like the early Survivor players, like the first few seasons. He's definitely the one that like struck out in Hollywood the most. He hosted a couple reality shows, so yeah, it totally makes sense that he would be the one to be in this episode. All right, Dragon, we're gonna let me know when there's a good time to stop because we got some comments.
Okay, look, let's pause before the lemon tree. Okay, let's do some.
I thought the lemon tree. Okay, I'm so gonna have to.
You already got your Survivor episode. Don't get greedy.
That failed a lemon tree thing became like a big running gag through an entire season. So you want to be an Imagineer. So okay, Little Blue says, you guys know about what Larry did to Elmo, right? Yeah. You know what's funny about what Larry did to Elmo is I almost kind of feel like it's a Curb Your Enthusiasm situation that's literally playing out in real life.
Yeah.
Because it's basically like I get the humor that he was going for, right? But the thing that he did not account for is kind of like that sort of sacred rule with Muppets. You know what I mean? Where you have to... Yeah. It's the fact that he broke the fourth wall with the Muppet Dragon. I think that's the main reason why people are upset about it.
Wait, people are upset, like genuinely upset about him, like strangling him?
Yes, people are genuinely upset about it. Yes.
Really? I thought it was the whole bit of like, oh,
people are genuinely upset, Dragon. That's why it feels like a Curb bit in real life.
Well, I think I don't know. It does kind of play though. It's the fact like, yes, Larry David has done a Curb Enthusiasm thing in real life, and that he's strangled Elmo and he's getting the back end of it.
Kogia says Larry David should play the villain in an Elmo movie. Could you even imagine, Dragon?
Well, he was. He was in the Three Stooges movie.
Okay, well, that's not exactly.
Well, no. Sorry, let me.
I know he was in the Three Stooges movie. He was one of the few funny parts of the Three Stooges movie.
That's what I'm saying. He was like a nun. It's not just Larry David as himself. Right. He was like a nun in that. But I'm saying he committed to a broad part. So in theory, he could be a villain in an Elmo movie.
I would fucking love to see him as a villain in an Elmo movie, man. That would be amazing. That would legit.
It would just be so great. Is like he would just be the perfect foil to Elmo. It was all happy sunshine.
Totally.
Like, hi, Elmo, just shut up.
Yes, I think I kind of agree. I'm pretty much in line with the nostalgia critic on my opinions on the Three Stooges movie, where up until it gets to the Jersey Shore stuff, it's actually a really good homage. It's actually really well done. But then it fucking gets to the Jersey Shore stuff and it falls off a cliff. So it's a very frustrating movie in that regard. But I will give you some props. It definitely has its moments, especially in the first third, I would say. Okay, Kogia says Elsa needs to pay Larry David a visit so she can teach him to let things go.
It'll never happen.
Oh, God. Okay, now I just want to see Larry David interacting with a Disney princess at a theme park.
Well, it would be hilarious. So
He would just do something like wildly inappropriate, but he wouldn't realize it.
It'd be really funny if like Lin-Manuel Miranda like takes him to a Broadway show, and they just can't stand each other.
God. Wouldn't it be because we did get a Mocha Joe cameo of sorts, kind of a Mocha Joe cameo.
Kind of. Come on, he was in the episode.
Wouldn't it be amazing if Lin came back for an episode?
Well, I mean, in that Lin-Manuel Miranda season, we had a bunch of returning cameos during the whole Fatwa thing. Remember, we had like the whole guy. Yeah. We had Michael J. Fox come back. It's possible. So. Don't rule it out. It is possible.
All right. Then finally, Kogias says JB's really funny. I really like that Curb Your Enthusiasm has helped give JB Smoove more mainstream attention and roles. Since being in the show, he was in a couple Spider-Man films and voiced Black Manta in Teen Titans. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting with Leon as a character because I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong about this, Dragon, but I feel like Leon Black is like the definitive like new addition to Curb Your Enthusiasm. He came in like pretty much literally halfway through the show and he's stuck.
Yeah.
Like, because people will come and go for seasons, you'll have guest stars for seasons. Leon's the only one that's really stuck around and has become like a vital part of the formula. So it's really
a new arrival. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Kogias, I'll shout out your stuff about Richard Lewis and Susie when we get to them. Okay. Let's continue.
All right, so the lemon tree. Don't say it.
I won't. I'm sorry. I do have things to say about this conundrum, though.
Okay, that's good. Good. I want to keep it on.
Okay, so lay out the conundrum, and I definitely have my opinion about it.
All right, so Dwayne is being very ridiculous here, where he wants Larry. Okay, so the conundrum is Larry David is like right next to Dwayne. Dwayne has a lemon tree, and the lemon tree has grown so much it's like kind of like part. I guess the leaf, like the branches are over on Larry David's side, so the lemons are falling on his side. So the point is, it's a tree that's kind of their tree, and now Dwayne needs to cut it down, and he wants Larry David to pay for half of this lemon tree getting cut down. So yeah, this is complete BS, and Dwayne's trying to get sympathy points because his father-in-law died. He wants like Larry David to acquiesce, and it is complete BS. I love like well, you took some lemons, like well yeah, but like lemons are a fungible citrus, which I think is the best line of the episode.
And I very much believe him when he say he could go his whole life without having a lemon, because lemons are one of those things where it's like it's good to have. What Dragon, I for example, I have a hard time eating shrimp without lemon. Like that's my go-to thing for lemon is seafood, basically. But I wouldn't lose sleep if I could never have lemons again.
Here's the thing: we have like an aesthetic bench later, which we'll get to. I think lemon an aesthetic fruit. We don't
go.
Purely decorative.
So Dragon, believe it or not, I actually have a real world comparison for this story. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah. Okay,
so this was like maybe a couple years ago. My neighbors have a really big, tall fence that divides, my backyard from their backyard, obviously. They approached my grandpa and said that the fence was rotting. Do you know why it was rotting, Dragon?
Why, pray tell, was it rotting, Tiki?
Because of water damage from the neighbor's pool.
Oh.
And so, still, the neighbors asked my grandpa to fucking pay for half of it. Isn't that absurd?
That is absurd, did he? So he didn't...
It's literally their fault. He has nothing to do with it. And Dragon, we're talking about a guy who, this guy's literally never touched drugs or alcohol. He's never told a lie. So, of course, he went along with it, right? But it's one of the few times in my life, witnessing my grandpa where I'm like, no, Grandpa, you made the wrong call with that one. Oh, no.
Did he even ask why?
I think he just kind of went along with it just to be civil. I don't know.
Honestly, wouldn't that just be a great moment, though? Just like they say, we want you to pay for half. This is, well, why? and they have no good response to it. Like,
yeah, it's horseshit. It really is horseshit. So when this conundrum came up, I could not help but think of that.
yeah. What are they going to say? Like, well, you because of the pools. Well, it's not my pool.
It's literally not his pool. He has
like,
nothing to do with the fact that the fence is
I
rotted.
think he just should have been really non-combative, but just very matter of fact about it. Just saying, well, the neighbors are over there. Why don't you go to their house?
Right? Yeah.
They
I don't know, man. My grandpa's too salt of the earth, I guess.
Anyway, so that's the thing. So Dwayne is being completely unreasonable here about this lemon thing. The idea too is like a few lemons fell, and Larry David like he could have just chucked him over the fence, but he didn't. He just like took the lemons. He didn't make a big stink about it. And he's being punished.
I honestly feel like as someone like we have like 3 lemon trees in my backyard, so I can speak to experience on this as well. Dragon, if you're throwing lemons over the fence, that's just going to make a mess. That's not going to do anything for anyone except make a mess.
So what's the point? Just like they took the path of least resistance. Okay, I'll just take the lemons.
Right.
I'll make use of them. So again, very, very civil thing. And
as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, one of our lemon trees actually is growing over into the side of the neighbor's yard.
Tiki, whatever happens, I know. Okay, if they bring up the lemons,
I swear to God, I'm not even joking about this. I'm not even joking about this.
You gotta stand your ground. Don't let them have the lemon.
Well, it's not my ground. This isn't my house, so it's like
I don't care. You step in, Mister. If you don't let them roll over again, okay? You gotta say, no, not my problem, not our problem collectively here. Don't let.
Although to be fair, this is our lemon tree that's going over to their side of the fence.
Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah.
Don't ask them for half.
Right.
Don't be that guy. Don't be.
Although we probably should, given the fence thing.
Yeah, but don't be a Tubman, Tiki.
Oh my God. Okay.
In this case, in this rare instance, don't be a Dwayne Tubman.
Oh man. All right.
Be any other
I feel
Tubman.
like we're having way more fun with this episode than I was expecting us to.
That's the thing. The episode has a lot of fun aspects to it.
Yeah.
Okay, meanwhile, Vince Vaughn returns as Freddie Funkhauser, the half-brother of Marty Funkhauser.
Now, remind me, did we ever do any sort of like acknowledgement that Marty Funkhauser is no longer with us, or did they just kind of write him off?
Well, here's the thing. I keep meaning to go back and rewatch to confirm it, but we did kind of a symbolic tribute with Albert Brooks having the fake funeral at the top of last season. But I don't recall because that's when he died before getting into that season.
Right.
I don't know during that season later they referenced that Funkhauser passed. That's what I don't know. All I know is they did like a symbolic tribute to him. They just haven't mentioned Funkhauser really since. They had Freddie Funkhauser, so I'm sure when the introduction of the Vince Vaughn character, we might have. That's probably when we acknowledged it, but I'd have to go back and watch to know for sure.
It is nice that Vince Vaughn has kind of slid into the role.
Yeah,
like obviously it's not the same character, but it's nice that we were able to have kind of a similar dynamic there.
I like that he's kind of like has a similar height going on there in comparison, but he's a lot more amenable to Larry David than Marty Funkhauser was in a sense.
Yes,
which I appreciate.
Oh.
Anyway, let's see. So, Freddie Funkhauser, he has a very interesting arrangement with a friend's wife who's trying to conceive, and we're not talking...
Okay, this is honestly another, broad concept that I wasn't crazy about, honestly.
Well, this is less broad. This is more like kind of a... It's kind of an offshoot of kind of a more grounded thing, but it feels like we dedicated too much focus to it. It feels less broad, just more like we dedicated way too much focus to this. Where basically Freddie Funkhauser, here's the thing, it feels like early Kerbo would have been just during the dinner scene he mentions this, and that might be as far as it goes. Where now we're bringing it back.
But in this episode, it basically turns into the B plot.
Yeah. Essentially, they're not doing in vitro. Instead, they're basically condoning affairs so long as it's approved by the husband.
All right, and this scene is also
meanwhile Ted and Cheryl.
Yeah. That's what I was about to go to.
Oh, sorry. You exactly. No, you got it.
All right, so they come in with a very big box. Dragon, what's in the box?
It's a dog.
I couldn't help it. Yes, a dog is in the box.
They went the full Disney. There's a dog in the box.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly, too. Yeah, it's like, much like in Lady and the Tramp, I hope there were air holes in that thing.
I love I love the social faux pas here. Okay, I love that. I guess I could feel it radiating off Larry David in the scene here. That Ted and Cheryl again. Ted Danson is he's Larry David's friend, obviously, but
I feel
also,
like Ted Danson might be the closest thing that Larry David has to like a series-long antagonist.
That's the thing.
Like, he is technically Larry's friend, but then again, he did also technically steal Cheryl from him. So, you know,
well, there's a lot of conflicting feelings. With
yeah,
and that's what's fascinating. Here's the fun nod. Okay, looking back on things, so Ted Danson was referenced in Seinfeld.
Okay.
And this is during like Larry David being there and everything. And
Sure.
You want to hear how even more meta it is?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Okay, season 4 of Seinfeld is basically when they do the meta season plot line of Jerry and George to parallel the real life Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David are pitching essentially Seinfeld in universe to NBC.
Right.
They're
That's
pitching,
a very famous episode. Yeah.
So they're pitching the show Jerry, which essentially is Seinfeld.
Right.
So they're pitching Jerry, and in doing so, like, you know, like George Costanza is like very much saying, "Are we getting Ted Danson money though?" Because Cheers was like the biggest TV success, so they're like citing Ted Danson a lot as like a shorthand.
You know what's funny is that now that I think about it, like, is young Larry maybe like a very long reference to Jerry?
Kind of.
I mean, it's obviously young Sheldon too. I feel like that's the more direct reference.
I mean, here's the thing. Maybe I misspoke there. Here's the thing. Yes, it's more. I think it's more young Sheldon. It's not in universe Curb, but it is a show about Larry David in the show. So maybe you're right. Maybe it is a little Jerry-esque.
I'm just saying, like, I could see an episode of Curb where Larry and Jeff are specifically trying to pitch a show that's just called Larry.
Which, I mean, we kind of did that with the whole young Larry concept. So I know you're not wrong. But then again, the pilot for Curb is meta too, because it's them making the show that they see before. It's essentially Curb Your Enthusiasm initially was a mockumentary, like documentary of sorts, and then it kind of they abandoned that part of it and just made like, okay, we're just going to follow Larry David. We're not going to have like a little camera crew acknowledged.
Right, but I feel like the show has always kind of stuck with the mockumentary style.
Yeah, it's like that, but we're not literalizing it, is my point. In the pilot, it was literalized. In the pilot,
right.
It was like literally, okay, a camera crew
was pilot, it was basically like a Christopher Guest production, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but anyway, so the thing is, like Ted Danson, there was a friendship there, but there was always kind of a jealousy of the success of Ted Danson to some degree. And Ted Danson's always like Larry David kind of had the hots for Mary Steenburgen, but he was
right. I did see that episode.
There's a little bit of that going on. And beyond that, there's just every time Ted Danson's just a rival, but he's not a bad guy, but he did in the end get Cheryl. So there's a lot of jealousy there.
Also, now that Curb Your Enthusiasm has officially wrapped production, let's get Ted Danson on that Frasier show,
Yeah, I think we should prioritize David.
Reagan, he's literally in Chicago!
Don't get upset.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was unnecessarily hostile. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but I agree. We should prioritize Niles. I agree. But, you know, I will say that if there's one way to get me to watch that Frasier show, basically make it a Frasier Cheers crossover event. That's all I'm saying.
I gotta be honest, the part of me kind of hopes they do the Deadpool 2 cameo, where it's gonna be like how we had the X-Men and Deadpool 2, where like,
my god, just have them all there, but just for a second.
Yeah, just for a moment,
my god, that would be wonderful.
Like, imagine one of two things. Imagine like Freddy's going to a bar and like Freddy stumbles upon the Cheers gang. But they don't recognize him because he's all grown up.
Right. Oh, man.
And then like Frasier goes to make appeal, and like everyone's kind of busy at the moment. He sees them all. He says like Frasier, like they would do Norm, or either that, or Norm walks in at the same time. They all go Norm. He says, Freddy, let's get out of here.
Oh my god. all right.
Something like that.
Oh man.
Anywho, God, like getting back on point being, so Ted and Shirley, very big faux pas here, where they've done a very, like one to give someone a dog just feels like, yeah, hey, here's something that's you're going to be obligated to take care of. Now, what are they going to do? Say, no, I don't want the dog. Get it away from
You
me.
give a kid a dog at Christmas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the fact it's very presumptuous to give a dog, but two is like you're just going to outshine any other gift anyone gets you that evening. At the very least, if you're going to give the dog, put some air holes in there and save it for last. If you're going
Well, I
to
was going to say it's
outclass
kind of like a lose-lose because if you don't save it for last, then you risk the suffocation. But if you save it for, or I'm sorry, if you don't save it for last, it's a social faux pas. If you save it for last, it's the suffocation thing. Even if there are air holes in there, it'd still be kind of something that'd be on my mind at least.
It's just a bad idea. Don't give people dogs. Okay, very simply. You give a kid a puppy only if like the parent consents. Just don't give away random dogs.
Right.
Anyway, so Ted and Cheryl, so they give Susie a little dog named Frankie after Sinatra, I think.
Well, Susie names him that, which is adorable.
Well, that's what I mean. Susie names that, but yes.
Yeah.
This is kind of nice. It's kind of tailing off of Susie's birthday, which was celebrated in Atlanta, but the rest of her friends weren't there. It's a little impromptu birthday party. Although Irma selected something very special. She selected the Theragun, which instantly made me think of JGI. Made me think of
Although I will say, I think Irma does specifically make the point to say, Larry picked this out for you. And I took that as a little bit of her throwing him under the bus a little bit because she knew it wasn't a great gift.
I don't know. I think she's just that delusional. I think she's trying
It
to.
could be. She is a very delusional woman. Don't get me wrong.
I think Irma was trying to help Larry. I think it was like she
okay. I could see that.
Either as a social obligation of you and I are united, so we're united front, or Larry's feeling kind of bad. This will make him look better by comparison. He got you this Theragun.
So Susie, I love how Susie is like barely even acknowledging the gift. She's just holding the. She's like, oh yeah, that's nice, Larry. Oh, good boy. Yeah, but you'll really use it. Yeah, I can't wait to use it. Good boy. What a good boy. Good boy. Good. Let's see. So Code Geass did point out that Susie is a pain in the neck. Code Geass, she is, but I also feel like she's one of the secret ingredients that really makes the show work. You know what I mean? I truly feel like her presence in this show is kind of like a big driving force. Like if she wasn't there, we would not have half of the conflict that we have on this show.
She's conflict in gaudy clothing.
Right. And I will say, I'm pretty sure the Susie character is pretty much what convinced my dad to check out the show because I was watching an episode in the car with him because I needed to catch up on the episode before the podcast. And my dad was really drawn to the what he was hearing from Susie. He thought it was really funny. Just how irate she got.
Just wait until you get to the doll, Tiki.
Oh God.
That's when she comes to life. Like that's her real boy moment right there.
Susie comes to life. It's like Frampton comes to life.
Exactly. Anyway, so also again, of course, the Theragun does remind me of like the Jeff Skagel sketch with the Theragun. Anyway, okay. So let's see. We said we did learn. Okay, so Irma, she was in AA. That's what the support. That's what the group was, and that's what it was. But however, it does make me wonder if I go back and see if Irma had a drinking problem because it really didn't seem like she did. I does feel like that came out of nowhere.
I strongly think that's almost like a tongue-in-cheek, like something to add in just for conflict. I really don't think it was addressed last season. I could be wrong.
Nor do I really think. I think I would have remembered it. So that's why I don't.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So it sounds like so Irma. We're continuing the whole Irma was in AA apparently with the drinking problem. So she's like drinking like the virgin daiquiri essentially, or what have you, or the virgin.
Because honestly, I thought the fence thing is like a running gag was really not the best like season long plot, and I honestly think it kind of ended on a whimper. So, but Irma is a really funny character, and she's probably one of the best things to come out of that plot line. So I don't blame the writers for wanting to keep her around.
Yeah. Okay. I think one of the other great lines of the episode is, "Better get that dog a pronoun. That's an effeminate dog. Get that dog a pronoun." Yeah, I don't know. I love. It's just gonna sound horrible. I love the verbal cruelty to animals in the Curb.
Oh my god.
It's just really funny. I love insulting the dog he's not gonna care, but making fun of like the dogs actually need to be made fun of though.
Well, I did see the episode with the deaf lady and the dog that he insults.
Oh yeah, that the whole rat
Yeah,
dog
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of insulting.
Kind of
Like,
funny
here's
timing because we're gonna get into another like social faux pas with a deaf person.
yeah, oh, yeah, very appropriate. I think was that Marley Matlin? I think it was Marley.
It was not. It was.
Oh,
not.
it wasn't? Okay, never mind. Then I'm thinking it's because I think we had Marley Matlin. Oh, she was in Seinfeld. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So the golf. So we go to the golf. The country club. Where you have Larry David. He loves in real life. He loves golf, which is reflected in the show, and it feels appropriate that last season we got to do at least one episode where we go back to the golf course.
Of course.
At least, literally. And let's see. So he's just sitting. I like to think he's genuinely just sitting on that bench initially.
Yes. Initially, I think he is just genuinely sitting, waiting for his turn. Yeah.
Yes. And then he's hearing this golf pro give a lesson to Troy Kosher.
God, I'm sorry. I just fucking had it. Let me look it up. Just to
K.
make sure
It's Kotsur, I think. Kosher.
It's Kotzer. Troy Kotzer.
Troy Kotzer.
Yeah.
So the guy from Coda who won the Oscar.
Mm.
Yes, he was deaf.
Yes, Dragon. Thank you for clarifying.
It's just for the kids, in case the kids just thought he was just being, in case the kids thought he was just being irate for no reason. He's a deaf guy.
God.
Anyway, so basically Larry's kind of eavesdropping on the lesson there. And he kind of ends up, he's kind of saying, well, he's hearing some actually helpful tips, so he's kind of faking it. But we've all been there where you happen upon something by accident, like, well, okay, well, I'm just going to play along with it here. It's like, okay, not listening to anything.
You know what? I've been in the proximity of like tour groups and had this kind of situation where it's like, ooh, I can hear some of the history of this place for free.
Yep. And he's called out for sitting on the bench, which again, Larry David, he's in the wrong, but then saying it's an aesthetic bench is
I honestly feel like this conflict is very ambiguous.
It is, but here's the thing. I agree that, yeah, Larry David, he started off by complete accent, but then was in the wrong when he was intentionally listening to stuff. And he's like, the moment he's mimicking the golf swing, like, yeah.
I think you know what? I don't even really fault him for listening because it's like, what's he gonna do? Like cover his ears? Like la la la! I'm not supposed to be hearing this. I didn't pay for the lesson.
Here's the thing: it's at the same time, it's like it's on the golf pros. Like, why would he choose a place in front of the bench where other people are gonna sit?
Right.
If he really wants privacy, okay.
But I also feel like it was a dumb move on Larry's part to just do the motions. Like he really could have controlled himself with that.
Absolutely. Now the thing, however, I lose sympathy for the golf pro side of things here when he says it's an aesthetic bench. That is the most.
Oh yeah, that's bullshit. That is like what the fuck is an aesthetic bench?
So I love Larry David digging his heels in on an aesthetic bench. Okay, so the return
bench.
Okay, so the return of Richard Lewis.
Yeah, so Richard Lewis, he had like a stroke or something in between seasons. I heard.
I think I know he's been in poor health in the show. Season 5 of Curb references the need for a kidney transplant, which I forget if that part was from real life or not. But since then, yes, I believe he'd had a stroke or something. He's been in poor health lately, and that's why he was actually.
It is really nice to see him, and I'm pretty sure that they're doing that thing where every time you see him, he's like sitting down.
Yeah, that's the thing. So here's the thing: Richard Lewis is pretty much in every season of Curb, but there was one season he was not in because that's when the stroke happened. That's when he was like unable.
Okay.
I forget that was either last season or season 10. It was season 10 or 11, but one of those two seasons when it happened. So he's on the mend. They want to get him in there at least one last time, and so he's he's back.
Yep.
That's funny because Richard Lewis is I assume in real life a friend of Larry David's as well, and the very least. He's a well-established friend of Larry David's throughout the series of Curb, so he's been in there since episode 1.
You know what's really funny about him in episode 1 is that he literally has the line in episode 1 like, "This is it. You've crossed a line this time. You've gone too far." And I feel like that's pretty much him every episode, right?
Exactly.
So it's like I love how as early as the first episode they had this guy's dynamic with Larry just down.
I mean, it's in episode 1. It's in here. It's the idea. Larry David finds it hilarious when Richard Lewis gets dramatic.
Right.
It's the idea of like, I'm putting you in my will. This is like, I'm not. I don't need money. I don't need your money. Which is hilarious. Like Richard Lewis is trying to do a nice gesture here, but Larry David's also calling him out. You want something for my will, don't you? That's why it's a gesture with strings.
We got to also talk about the great delivery of the drop and tug thing.
Yep.
I dropped, and then I tugged. You got to tug.
And they're so happy, and so like they're never.
This might be the happiest day of my life.
Learned a good golf because again, Larry David loves the golf, and he actually, he's got a good golf tip for a change.
Oh God, Dragon! What would Mr. Meeseeks do in this episode?
Mr. Meeseeks would like worship Larry David.
Oh my God! Now I just want to see Larry David and Mr. Meeseeks. Hey, Meeseeks, I want you to take 3 strokes off my golf game. God. Oh man, that would be a fucking like where would we see that? Maybe Robot Chicken or something.
Oh, did you ever? I think I showed you the clip once. Did you ever see the Robot Chicken sketch where it's Larry David in Endgame?
I think I did see that. Yeah.
the tuck it shirt. Or the untucked shirt.
Uh-huh.
God. Anyway. So, let's see. Okay. So they're on the golf course, and Larry Davis, he's learned this new swing again. He's getting into Richard Lewis about the basically he's like going to put. Basically, it goes from like a nice gesture of putting him in a will to spite of like, no, I'm gonna give every penny away. I'm not gonna spend it. All right, so he's about to go for a swing, but he's waiting for Troy.
Yes.
To finish, Mr. Coda to finish his golf game there, and Jeff shows up and he gets peer pressured by Jeff and Richard Lewis. Like, what are you waiting for? Just swing. Well, he can't hear. Basically, he knows he can't hear him if he yells 4. But he also knows, no, I'm going to hit him. It's like, no, you're not going to hit him. You know your golf game. You can't hit the ball that far. Sense by it. So he takes the swing using the new technique, though, which is a great wrinkle.
Right.
You knew the moment this happened, you're like, wham, right in the lower back. It's Troy right there, and he tries waving to him, but he's turning around, he can't see him, and he knows not even to yell because he can't hear him. So just hilariously, he nails this Oscar winner. And it goes up to him, and he's a genuinely, again, Larry David, he's such a linguist in apologies. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The man knows how to apologize, but also how to apologize horribly. In which case, do you like Postmates?
Oh my God, fucking Postmates.
He tries to Postmates an apology to the Troy the coacher.
Dragon, I've never used Postmates because I just kind of think that DoorDash is the way to go.
Well, interesting. The only time I've really heard Postmates is through Kevin Smith, and in his reality show during the pandemic, he did the Sun in Lockdown show in which Postmates factored into the plot. So Postmates.
Yeah, Postmates seems like a more personable version of DoorDash, and I don't do personable.
Well, no, of course not.
Like, I want someone to pick up my food, drop it off at my front door, and I never have to interact with them.
Yeah, you have enough friends. You don't need anything.
Yeah, I have enough friends. I have exactly 3. That's more than enough.
Yeah, see, you've already reached your goal. Yeah. You don't need to befriend any delivery person. You're better than a delivery person, aren't you?
Nah, I don't want to make
That's
that
what I thought. Aha! Someone needs to try some Postmates.
Oh my God.
There you go.
All
It's
right.
all part of a lesson, kids. Okay. So Anyway, let's see. So, yeah, so he tries Postmates. I like that he gets into it with the signer. Like, did you sign Postmates? It took like 2 seconds. I don't think you signed Postmates. Yeah,
Right,
I
right.
don't think he actually. I don't think he signed Postmates. I think he's
I
giving
think
up.
he probably said like he's gonna buy you dinner or something.
Yeah, he'll
Would
buy
be
you
my
food,
guess.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think it was a half-hearted signing. I think he said,
Uh
like,
huh.
"Yo,
Uh
I'll get you a meal." I think he undersold Postmates.
huh.
Okay, anyway, so they hear Kai. So again, going from what we can't hear, going to what we can hear, the coyotes are out
hmm
and feasting on a little dog. It would seem. Now this is Curb at its finest. Here, this is flawless Curb. This is like Curb dog humor that I love. Here's the idea that okay, Larry and Jeff have a decision to make here, and typically they make the wrong one. However, one that they're going to get in trouble for, I should say. I don't necessarily think they made the wrong call here.
What are they gonna do if the dog is dead? I
Okay,
totally agree with Larry.
they hear what's yeah. I am on Larry's side here, absolutely. So what are they going to do? By the time they get there, it's going to be too late. Dog's going to be a goner,
Exactly. Right.
and
Right.
even if it's not like again, what are they going to do? It's just going to be a futile effort. You know, the dog's a goner. I mean, if the coyote, it's the will of the land. Okay, the coyote's got him. How did the coyote get him? Well, someone left the door open, I guess. It was in the backyard. Why is Susie letting the dog in the backyard? I mean, clearly these are factors that need to be considered. So it's a losing battle. I think it was a justifiable call, like not to rush home. Plus, I mean, someone's going to find it.
Mhm.
Anyway, so then we have this thing where they reveal they say, "Oh, Frank's alive," and they're really happy about it. And then it's like idiots.
And
They
then,
are.
yeah, I saw this coming a fucking mile
Well, this is
away.
typical for them. They
Oh
over-explain.
yeah.
They
Oh yeah.
over-explain the whole thing about like, "Oh yeah,
As
we
soon
thought
as they start explaining it to Susie, I'm like, oh no, what are you doing?
she's upset." And I love Larry David getting so incensed here. He says, "If anyone of you died on the thing, I'd make the same call. Even you," it's to Jeff. And Jeff is like, "Really?" He says, "It depends on how I'm playing." So I love that though, because there was like a moment of like a twinge of sincerity of like, well, you are my best, you're my oldest and best friend. Depends on how I'm playing.
uh-huh.
Okay, so Leon, he scares off Dwayne with the shorts.
God.
I
And again, Dwayne is just being entirely unreasonable here.
I love the nod gag with the fact that like the whole like black community nod thing. It gives it the whole black avatar thing with Leon. Just the idea like well, you give him a nod, like yeah, it's a little like a nod of respect, yeah, between black people. It's a thing we do. That was funny. All right, so yeah, so Leon, so he's works as a deterrent for Dwayne. There, he's like, you don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to pay for anything. You just scared him with the shorts.
I do love Larry's reaction to this. It's like, he saw you boys! He saw you boys!
Leon's like, all black balls look like this. That guy has problems.
Right, right.
All right, so Leon then he gets set up with the friend's wife of Funkhauser.
I fucking love Leon's little video that he makes. It's just so on point and so in character for him.
The fact that he eats food during the
Right, right.
Leon is eating in every scene he's in Curb. I mean, rarely ever do you see him not with food or about to get food.
Uh-huh.
All right, so meanwhile, Mr. Takahashi, he's always so angry.
Right.
He's
right.
upset with Larry. He's whacking Oscar winners with golf balls, and he's overhearing things in the bathroom. He's eavesdropping on lessons of the bathroom situations. Like, come on, that's not Larry's fault, obviously.
The bathroom situation, absolutely not his fault. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
I can kind of see if I were the instructor, I could kind of see it looking suspicious, but no, it's absolutely not on him.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. So anyway, Mr. Takahashi, essentially it's like a 3-strike thing. Like, okay, any more trouble and you're out of here. And then Larry, the base of the bathroom is like the 3rd strike. So it was like the initial session being eavesdropped on, then hitting the guy with the ball, and then this. And also it doesn't help that Larry David, sadly, he yet again threw the bagel at a homeless man, but just randomly strike Sure, just walking past him. Okay, that's just pure convenience. That's on top of the broad thing. Like, he just happens to be walking by in front of the homeless person when he's tossing the bagel. And he's not crazy about that. Anyway, so Larry David's in trouble. What bails him out of trouble? The shorts.
Well, we'll get there.
Yeah. Anyway, so he massages his groin. I know how that sounds out of context. He uses the Theragun to massage his groin while Susie's having Cheryl and Ted dancing over. And it's just, what do you think? You think he's doing this out of spite, or you think he just genuinely needs the
I honestly think he's genuinely kind of clueless in this situation.
Yeah, I think you're right. It feels like though he needs the Theragun. I believe that, but why is he doing it in front of Ted Danson? Sure, like
that is a good point. That is a good point.
I'm going to flaunt my gift in front of you now.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that. I think he genuinely does need it, but still, yeah.
And then I love this. Ted Danson's true colors, at least the fictional Ted Danson, I would hope. I'd like to think Ted Danson's a nice man, but we never know. Ted Danson, just jealous over the whole Atlanta situation. I would use that as a platform.
Oh my God, that is so Ted Danson in this show. That's the kind of Ted Danson that puts his name as anonymous on a donor's building.
Yeah, oh God, yes, exactly.
Yeah,
the anonymous
right.
Yep. I got him. I did have a moment where it's the anti-pet guy in me. The moment where Larry, let me pet the stupid effing dog, and they say, "Don't touch that dog."
I feel like that's about the level of aggression that he came at Elmo with.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's really not that bad.
It would be hysterical. Oh, by the way, on Good Morning America, I don't know if I ever showed you this or told you about this. Like, I don't think the year before, whatever the last season of Curb was, I guess for season 11, he was on Good Morning America, and he swore on live television, so he got in trouble.
Oh God,
that's the thing. So he was being interviewed post Elmo.
I love how like promos for Curb become like sort of like real life Curb incidents.
So that's the thing. He after the Elmo thing, it was on I think it was like Today Show or Good Morning America or whatever. He mentions the Good Morning America thing. Last time I was on Good Morning America, I let something slip, and he is tempted if they keep bringing up the Elmo thing. Like he's like threatening, like, I might let certain words loose. Really funny. Okay, so anyway, so again, we round things out. Larry David, he's in trouble with Takahashi, and the moment he walks there in the shorts, it's just like, oh boy, he is. I did laugh really hard. It is broad. We don't necessarily need it, but I just love sometimes do ridiculous things with Larry David wardrobe wise.
Well, I think it's Takahashi's reaction to it that's so funny.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh.
Here's where things
definitely like borderline like stereotypical Japanese, but it's very funny.
Here's the thing. I love his reactions, but the broad nature for me is when Larry David is just saying complete nonsense versus an actual conversation with the guy. Because that's what he's doing. He's just saying utter nonsense, knowing he's not going to listen to a thing, which is funny, but it's like, really? He's just going to do the whole scene like that? He's just like sprinkling a few nonsensical things in there, and he's going to put his feet up on the desk to give him a full show. And by the way, we've acknowledged, we have talked about Larry David's, well, not you and I, but I'm saying the show has talked about Larry David's cojones before. One of the nicknames he has, Long Balls Larry.
Yes.
So knowing that, it's like, oh boy, poor Takahashi.
I do love Takahashi's line of like, "You used to be funny guy, but now you rude, violent guy."
Yeah, he's just throwing bagels at people. He's the Spot's worst nightmare.
Oh my God!
Just throwing bagels. He's making he's making all sorts of Oscar-winning or Oscar-nominee supervillains. Yeah.
All right.
Look at all the Schwartzmen. All the evil Schwartzmans that are going to come from all this bagel throwing. All these homeless guys are going to turn to supervillains.
Jesus.
Actually, scratch it. No. Troy Couture. He's going to become a supervillain. He's going to become the next Spot. And a bagel thrown at him. And a ball thrown at him, and then a bagel. It's going to be like everything. It's going to be like Everything Everywhere All at Once. The bagel is the
Oh my
key in the
God.
dimensional rift. Literally a bagel this time. We had the golf ball, which goes through the hole. Now we have the bagel with the hole. There's the center of the entire universe as we know it. Anyway.
I feel like you and me are like the only people on the internet that did not like that whole everything bagel thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it was very much like, do you get it? Do you get what we're trying to say? Do you get the metaphor?
Yeah, when you say it like that, I'm just imagining like someone like a little sign or something that says metaphor, and they're like hitting someone on the head.
Dragon, that's basically what the everything bagel was to me in that movie, honestly.
This is the big sign or giant like inflatable bagel that you're hitting someone on the head with. You get it? It's a bagel. See, I love that you look at that bagel and you look at the bagel that is the one from Spider-Verse. You got so much more mileage out of that multiversal bagel versus the other one.
Yeah, even though the other one, it literally is like the whole like crux of the whole goddamn movie to a certain extent.
I mean, no one really even cares about an everything bagel.
I don't know.
No, I know. I just mean, think about this. You had a plain bagel, and they had an everything bagel. Okay, the everything bagel is too much. Plain bagel, we got so much comfortable mileage out of it.
Kogia says that was a great film, but I don't disagree that the bagel stuff wasn't the best. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I do owe that movie a rewatch. I really do, but it was like a 7 out of 10 at best for me, honestly.
What do you put on your bagel?
I like a nice pizza bagel, honestly.
Yeah?
Yeah. Either a pizza bagel or like a jalapeno bagel, maybe. Okay. Asiago cheese, perhaps. I like cheesy bagels, basically. That's my go-to.
All right, that's it. That's the episode.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
wait. Sorry, one last thing.
Sure.
We paid off the dog thing where, like the Funkhousers.
We should also probably go into the Leon stuff a little bit with how that turned out. Yes,
that's it. So Leon ends up, getting together with Funkhauser's neighbor's wife, and we hear like the coyote sound again, so it's going after her little dog. Leon is he's Leon's
shit.
Yep. Leon wants to get his first.
Oh yeah. All right, so yeah, I think this episode's solid. I will say it's interesting that we have this situation where I feel like the episodes are solid. I feel like it's kind of like a halfway where it's like we have good standalone stories. We're also kind of trying the season-long narrative with the Atlanta thing. So I'm definitely curious to see where we go and how the season ends up. I'm still betting on prison. I'm still betting that that's the end game.
How do you think it would fare in prison?
Not well.
Really?
Either not well or very well, I guess.
I was saying, we've seen other iconic characters who actors have been in Curb do pretty well in prison.
Do you think it'd be like a Saul Goodman thing?
That's what I'm kind of figuring. I mean, we saw how well he did in County. He was befriending people in County.
Now,
more so like a holding cell, like a drunk tank sort of thing. But he was befriending people.
And that wasn't even Los Angeles either.
No, it was in the deep south, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Kogia says, wouldn't ending it be prison be too much of a sign? It wouldn't be a ripoff. It'd be an homage. There is a difference, I think. All right. 7 out of 10 seems a bit low. I think it's at least an 8. Well, that is your opinion, Kogias, and you are very much in the vocal majority when it comes to that movie. I don't know. That movie, for me personally, it's a little bit too pretentious for its own good, but again, I do owe it a rewatch. So
if Larry David ends up in prison, it'd be a hilarious note to end out on with that.
What?
Just through conversation, he causes a prison riot.
Oh my god!
Like he just brings up like a game of telephone and just kind of gets around. Everyone's like rallying on the prison because of Larry David, who's just completely oblivious to what's going on. I wonder what's going on there.
Oh my god. All right. So yeah, that's about it. Final thoughts on your end?
Again, not. I mean, so far I think the weakest of the three, but we'll see how it goes forward. They had some fun gags. I mean, honestly, it's more fun talking about them, and
Right.
rewatching. It's just kind of fun rewatching and just kind of getting like the greatest hits from it, like the Tubman Wood. The Tubman Wake was my highlight. That and the whole lemon tree debacle. But yeah.
Okay, well, big thanks to Kogias and Little Blue for joining us in the comments, and we will be back next week. See y'all later. Have a good one. I found a lemon tree.